Welcome back to the AgriSpec Tom channel. It's been a while and I'm sorry about that. But today we're kicking things back off with the dairy show at the Royal Bath and West Showground. So let's get into this. The reason I'm here is A, because this show is very close to me in the West Country, but also B, to support our merchants here and help them on stand and give advice to their customers on the correct sort of maize varieties they should be looking at, as well as looking at wheats and barleys as well. So I'm here to speak with a lot of farmers and a few of our merchants. First stop today has been on the ADM stand, talking all things maize and their maize offering to the market, and talking to their farmers about the sort of varieties and maturities they should be looking at for this next coming season. It's been very busy on stand here already, and plenty of you have come over and said hi, which is lovely, and have spoken to ADM, which is fantastic. So we're going to go on and speak to a few more merchants in a minute. And just like that, it's the end of the day, and I've barely got round to that many stands, but seen plenty of customers and offered plenty of bits and pieces of advice for crop management. And there have been a few takeaways, especially talking to growers alongside some of our customers. And yeah, there's some bits that we definitely need to get into and discuss, especially around crop nutrition, because there are some really key areas that are being missed. So key nutrients are not really being taken into account. It's things like sulfur, zinc, and these are key nutrients which are being missed off within nutrient management plans. Also timing. We've been discussing quite a bit with growers, especially around maize, talking about timing of nitrogen applications. I think there's a very strong case for adding foliar nutrition, because it certainly does increase things like dry matter, and maize nutrition is usually undervalued. It's not a crop that you should just throw muck at and then put a top dress of ammonium nitrate on. It's something that really you should be looking at applying a little and often nutrition approach to kind of build up the quality in the plant. And that's been something that's kind of been exemplified more and more today, as though it's been the dairy show. So most of the growers here are dairy farmers, and stereotypically what would happen is you'd put the crop in the ground, you'd give it all the nutrition that it needs in the seedbed with maybe a top dress, maybe some DAP downspout, put your pre-ems on before you put the seed in the ground, put your post-ems on, and then leave it to go through its growth stages. We treat it more like a cereal. We sap test it, we make sure it's getting the right nutrition at the right time. You'll get a far better crop from it. And the thing is, although I deal with all crops, you know, cereals, oil seeds, maize is the one that I have the most technical conversations about, because it's the one that's the least understood. And because a lot of technical advice for cereals, oil seeds is already very good and well established, maize, there's still an awful lot which is left on the table with advice and with recommendations that we should be looking at giving. So most of these conversations and get particularly technical just around maize rather than the other crops, especially at these kind of events. So the key takeaway is that we need to be appraising maize correctly, making sure that it's getting the right nutrition and the right attention. And this is something that I would implore that all growers look at, not just dairy growers, but also AD growers, grain maize growers, especially that key bit about foliar nutrition. I'd argue if you're taking something to grain, foliar nutrition is incredibly important. And coming back to that bit about sap testing your plants, making sure that they have access to the right nutrients to create the best crop possible is important. Because, you know, if that's what's feeding your cows, that's what's feeding your digester, getting the most out of it is very important. And crop nutrition can be very cheap compared to the loss you might get in terms of dry matter tons or starch yield per hectare. So do not underestimate your crop nutrition on maize. You know, treat it like a cereal in that respect, and you won't go far wrong. But aside from that, today has been very good. I've seen plenty of you guys, again, old faces and new, And that's why I've struggled to make the content today, because it's, you know, plenty of people stop me and talk to me, and it's been fantastic in that respect. The plan is always to come to these events and make content and talk about what's going on, who's here, and that sort of thing. But actually, it's really quite difficult because you talk to so many people, and I'm not complaining about that. The best part about coming to these events is the networking and talking to people, and it's something that I thoroughly enjoy and look forward to every single time. So, on to the next one.